Okay, Conservatives of Texas and Precinct 111 11. We are coming to you today because of a phone call I received yesterday pertaining to something that is very troublesome, very concerning, and I have to apologize to you, Misty, on regards of Precinct 111, Randall County. We also have Kathy Welch. She's a precinct chair as well. Um, we're sorry. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that you you received this phone call, and we'll let you tell the story. Um, that is not who we are, Misty. We are the republic for which it stands, and that is the voice for the little one, the voiceless, those out there that don't have the big wallets, the big money establishment connects. What this country was built on when it comes to the Republican Party, it was the party for the slaves, and they didn't have a voice. They didn't have an inkling of a voice, and that's where the Republican Party was spawned out of, was being a voice for the voiceless. So, Misty, I want to tell you, I really, I'm so sorry.
I,
I
I
am so
really
sorry.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all giving me a platform that I can share
You're
this
very
on.
welcome. Tell us what happened.
So I received a phone call from the precinct chair, the Republican precinct chair of Randall County yesterday.
County
I had
chair.
asked him, huh? I'm sorry.
County chair. He's
Precinct chair.
the
Isn't that what I
Randall
said?
County Randall County Republican Party chair.
Oh, he's the Republican Party chair. I apologize. Um, anyways, I had asked him if I could interview with him because I'm a devout Republican. I would call myself a patriot Republican. For the past 2 years, I've tried to help both Randall and Potter County get precinct chairs to fill their spots. I've been encouraging voters to vote. I'm a registered VR. Um, I have been registering people to vote for about 2 years. Um, and just telling the people that they have a voice and that that they should be heard, and just trying to build up the Republican Party. And I had gone to the Republican Party um, county convention, and I had four resolutions. All four of them passed. One was on paper ballots. One was on sexually explicit material in the libraries and the schools. One was halting GMOs, and the other one was halting smart city technology. And three of them were adopted by the national stage. The Republican Party, Donald Trump, read my resolution for paper ballots on the RNC stage. And so I feel like I'm a devoted Republican, and I have been for, well, many years before I even got involved. So the fact that the Randall County chair wouldn't give me a platform to speak on, I was very upset about it. So I wrote the precinct chairs and let them know what happened. And Alex said that he would give me a platform to come and talk to you guys on, and I really appreciate it.
You know, let me read to you guys something. The founding of the Republican Party. It says here the Republican Party was founded in 1854 by anti slavery activists who opposed the Kansas Nebraska Act, which allowed for the potential extension of slavery to the Western territories. The party supported economic reform geared to industry, supporting investments in manufacturing, railroads, and banking. Um, As I mentioned earlier, I mean, we are the party for the small voice, and it's very concerning. Miss Kathy, you've been part of the Republican Party here in Amarillo, Texas, for some time. When you heard about this, and please, I know that you have a lot to say, and it's deserving, but I want to get you to the point where we just hear your heart in this, because I know that at the core of who you are, um, this probably disturbed you just as much as it did myself.
Yes, it was very alarming. And what continually amazes us is that this is not even close to the first time we've had something like this happen. Our county chairman, and I use those words very loosely, does not involve the county executive committee, which is the governing body of the Republican Party of Randall County. He does not involve us in anything. We are not even allowed to speak at a meeting without 72 hours notice. But putting that aside, what he did in this instance was not a representation of the Randall County Republican Party. And he sits up there on his very, very, very high horse and acts like he represents every Republican on earth, as best I can figure. But he doesn't. He is pursuing his agenda with his big money corrupt cronies, which is exactly what Misty Collier is running against. This had nothing to do with any fake polling. It was 100% designed to shut her voice down. And as you said, Alex, that is not what the Republican Party stands for. And it is appalling that we made that decision unilaterally as well.
Very well put. Serena, I know you're kind of new to what had occurred, but I know that you've been involved quite a bit. As a voter, as a constituent, I mean, don't you want to hear everyone's voice to establish a well positioned vote? I mean, how important is it for you to hear from all the candidates?
Well, first of all, I want to agree with Kathy. This isn't a new thing. It's been done over and over in past elections. If you don't look the look, talk the talk, they don't give you a platform. They just, slough you off. And there's been some good candidates that have fallen by the wayside because if they meet any opposition, they quit. I mean, because it's just too hard. And I want to commend Misty for pushing forward and reaching out to you because she does have a right for her voice to be heard. I don't care. I mean, what polling are they using? That would be my biggest question right there. What polling platform are they using?
Thank you.
Gosh, I want to hear everybody. I don't even, some of the candidates I don't particularly care for. I want to hear what they're having to say because it's a lot of times in what they're not saying maybe as opposed to what they are saying. So yeah, I want to hear her voice. Amarillo deserves to hear her voice. We need a champion, and she may be just the dark horse we need to get to the grassroots again. I admire our councilman, our mayor has worked hard to get in his position. I get it. I love capitalism. I'm grateful that we are in the United States of America, but I think we need to leave capitalism at home and it not enter into politics. I think we need to go back to the grassroots and care about our community again, our counties. It's not just Randall County that the mayor represents or the councilman. Uh, Potter County for too long has just been let go. We are the stepdaughter of Amarillo. And you see it over in the Heights, you see it in Eastridge, you see it over in Mesa Verde, you see it in Pleasant Valley. I mean, Pleasant Valley Elementary School's being closed. Um, and and one of the draws that's totally, I guess, beyond that is, the vineyards is expanding. I'm not for sure how many people live over in the vineyards now, but there's almost a line, a precinct line that it just doesn't reach across Broadway or Amarillo Boulevard, or it's a bad deal. So Misty, we need to hear your voice because I think that you're going to be our voice.
Thank you. And I did ask him where he pulled that, and he wouldn't give me the information.
Alex
So that tells you
Fairley
right there.
um, pays for all these polls, of course, and I have received one of his polling calls, one of his early polling calls before he knew my name and to exclude me. But they are push polls. They are not valid polls, and I would be shocked if they even said Misty's name. If the election were held today, would you vote for Cole Stanley or Jason Harris?
Well, here's the elephant in the room. As Kathy mentioned earlier, there is a pattern being developed. Not her words; those are my words, but it's in alignment with what she's saying. There is an aroma, and I think even Serena touched on it a little bit. When Rule 44 came out with the House Party Caucus and the speakership situation, we were called to a special election in December. All of a sudden, our voice mattered. Haven't never voted on anything else since Kelly Giles took the helm, other than selecting other precinct chairs. And
Yeah,
yeah, and so I was a little taken aback. I thought, well, why are we voting on this? Well, I found out shortly thereafter, so he wouldn't have to stand on that platform alone. Uh, let's get it, to where he could possibly throw us under the bus if something goes awry, which something did go awry. We mentioned in this December meeting, what if Burrows wins? I mean, what if you're wanting all of us to get behind the party caucus of the Texas House and select Cook, and we did just that. We aligned with what the Republican Party and the caucus said they wanted us to do. So we're being true to the Republican Party. But here's the kicker: we had Sanctuary City for the Unborn here in Amarillo, Texas. And time again, we made it known to these councilmen and the mayor that Sanctuary City for the Unborn, the ordinance, is in full alignment with several pro life planks in the Republican Party of Texas 2024 party platform. The one that sticks out like a sore thumb is Plank 53. And let me read that one in fullness. Plank 53: prohibit abortion transportation across state lines. We support legislation to prohibit the use of any governmental funds as well as the transportation of pregnant women across Texas state lines for the purpose of procuring an elective abortion and for the provision of a private right of action against all persons and organizations who aid and abet in the harming of the woman and the killing of her preborn child. Found in Provisions 2 and 3 and Provision 7 of the Sanctuary City for the Unborn Ordinance. I will share the rest of the planks that they were out of line with here in comments after we're done here. But why is Kelly Giles, the Republican Party chair, interviewing anyone else that is out of line to those planks? The one that's sitting right here, Misty Vigil Collier, supported Sanctuary City for the Unborn in fullness. She was the only one in line with the party plank. Um, and Kelly says, well, we disqualify you because not enough people on our poll said XYZ or whatever the case is. Well, how about you're a Republican Party chair, Mr. Giles? How does the others not get disqualified just by not following the planks?
It's interesting, Alex, that you say that, because I took a poll that they had sent to my phone, and when I checked the results, it said that I was at 15%, and that Kelly Giles was saying I was polling at less than 1%, and that was a week before he told me that.
Something's not right. So here's the thing, guys. Whenever we had this December special meeting, in the discussion, I brought it to the table because it was a discussion matter at that time, and we have to take every opportunity to speak when we can, right, Kathy? And
I'm
so,
thinking it was a framing match more than a discussion. It was not an
yeah,
approved discussion. We only spoke. We only got heard because we spoke very loud.
yeah. And so, in the minutes, you'll find you can request this if you like. If you're a Republican voter out there, it's in the minutes. But I had to make a point of order to make sure it was in old business the following month. Keep in mind, because they didn't record it for some odd reason. But during the Rule 44 situation, I told Kelly and the rest of the CEC, if we're going to do this, let's go all the way. Why don't we implement a Rule 44 measure on the nonpartisan seats? Because I'm sick and tired of supporting nonpartisan candidates in the area that don't support our party. Let's go full scale. So in the next 30 days, Kathy, myself, Edwin Grenier, and the author of Rule 44 out of Tarrant County put a resolution together, and we submitted it to Randall County. We had the actual author, okay, of Rule 44 at the state level help us. And it was denied for discussion.
And
It
that's
was
what kills
denied
me.
for discussion.
Discuss, vote. We, the CEC, are the governing body of the Randall County Republican Party. Under state law, we are the governing body, not him
Yeah.
alone.
So that next month comes along, and I'm called into the office before the meeting. And in the first 30 seconds, I tell County Chair Kelly Giles, hey, we don't need to be discussing anything in here. We need to be talking out there. We're the body. Whatever you have to say in here needs to be said out there. And he brought in Miss Deborah Eaton, our secretary. For what reason, I have no idea, because when I asked her to recite to me an email what was said in there, she wasn't taking notes. So I thought that was strange. But I was told in that meeting that I could no longer send out group emails to the CEC without his permission. All of a sudden, nobody can remember that. I remember because I called 4 of the precinct chairs the next day. And I said, can you believe this? This is not right. And Misty, I'm sorry you've dealt with it. We've all been dealing with it in Randall County to some degree. But you know what? It's kind of like when you pick on me, that's one thing. But when you pick on my little brother, my little sister, now you got problems, because that's the constituency. And those are the people that are out there voting, and they deserve to hear every candidate. And then when you start to pick on the candidate themselves, we have lost the republic. We have lost the republic for which it stands. And when you told me what you told me yesterday, I was disgusted. And this has to get out. This is not right. These people belong to PACs, and the PACs tell them what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
And with
How
him,
is that not tyranny? How is that not fascism? You know,
And this is just one example of, I mean, Misty gave you a little background on how hardworking a Republican she is. And there are many, many others. If we took a Rule 44 um, scorecard against all four candidates, she would win in a landslide. She's in
Hmm.
favor of paper ballots, which is in our platform. She is in favor of returning our government systems to the constitutional basis on which they were found, like our platform. And she is head and shoulders more aligned with the Republican Party platform than anybody else. Kelly should be calling her begging to get an interview because she is such an exemplary example of what a grassroots Republican should be like.
Well, and to the voters out there that are stuck between, well, if we vote for Misty, it's a vote for Herrick, and or vice versa. Some might say if we vote for Misty, it's a vote for Cole. I don't know, but the continuous chatter that I continue to hear is we might get worse, and I'm thinking to myself, if I were Cole or if I were Jason, I wouldn't want to be elected under those measures because the worst person might get elected. Geez, Louise, guys. I
Well,
Hey,
Alex,
mean,
can I say
unfortunately,
something?
they're nothing like you. But if we don't take a chance on an outsider, we will never have an outsider.
that's true.
If we are tired of the money elite controlling the universe, it's time to vote for an outsider.
That's
Can
right.
I
Period.
say something to what you said, Alex? Um,
Yeah,
they liked my platform so much that they all changed their platforms to match mine. And then they painted me on their platform to make me look like I wasn't a Republican. So,
that is another example of why this big money situation is just getting so out of hand. Um, it shouldn't cost more than $5,000 in the city of the size of Amarillo for place 1 through 4 if you're a newcomer. And um, the money that's being spent, I predicted 2 months ago that this mayoral is going to cost well over 500 grand um, just to become king of the hill. How can you compete with that, Misty?
I can't. Last time I ran on $86, and then this time I'll run with under $1,000. And it's interesting to me that Kelly Giles is so worried about me having a voice whenever I'm the candidate without any money. Jason Herrick has close to $400,000, and Cole has close to $100,000. But I'm the candidate that they don't want the people to hear.
It's a good point. Why not?
Well, I
Because
said
they're
earlier,
afraid.
it's what's not being said to me that's speaking louder than anything. Just exactly what Misty said. Why is she such a threat? Why is she such a threat that they will not give her a platform to speak on? I mean, she's got documented proof. Trump. I mean, good grief. So we know what she's talking about. We know that she's capable of doing what she sets her mind to do. And we know that she has an interest in Amarillo for the good. Why would they shut her down?
Because they can't control her because she's not bought and paid for. And if everyone that hears this podcast does not appreciate that, then frankly, we're lost. If you want our elections to be determined by who spends the most money rather than who has the best ideas and the best proposals and the best popular support amongst real people, then we're lost. We gotta wake up,
Yeah.
see what's happening here.
So last month, Kathy reached out to me and said, "I think you're going to want to be at tonight's meeting because you're on the agenda." I didn't ask to be on the agenda, so I was surprised. So I asked Kathy, "Why do you think they put me on there?" And it wasn't really expansive on the explanation. It was to discuss Precinct 111 situation. That's how I think it was phrased. Kathy, what was your opinion of that? Why do you think that was?
So he could say he did. He limited your time substantially. It was not a free flow of ideas. And at exactly the time limit he gave you, he cut you off mid sentence. But now he can say he let you speak, which is just, the first time he's ever let anyone speak on purpose at a meeting. And he just wanted he wanted to be able to say he let you.
Yeah.
So he
So
wouldn't entertain any motions on your proposal, on your words, on your ideas, nothing. Wham! Your time is up. Meeting adjourned. I mean,
yeah. So the grievance still stands. Serena, Misty, Elisa. Elisa, I think was there possibly. She's
I'm
also a
here.
precinct.
I'm here.
My grievance still stands. I
I
have been wanting to open the issue up for discussion, not for statement.
Alex
So
is
I
still
still
having.
haven't. What was that, Misty? So the grievance still stands. I still want the CEC, the body, to discuss the nonpartisan seats, school board, college, board of regents, and our city council seats. Um, they need to be held to the same measure as the Rule 44 implement due to the thrust of it. The thrust of it is we got to stop allowing these rhinos to get elected. And I don't see why you would want rhinos that try to come out and pretend to be Republican to be on the dais if they're not going to support the Republican Party. That's very much cake and eat it too. And so, Misty, we're not ending here, but I just want to say, at the midway point, thank you for being, as courageous as you are. And I know that you can be emotional. It must have really um, bothered you to the degree, not necessarily because it was Kelly Giles, but because here you have the Republican Party, the optic of who's at the helm, telling you, no, we're not gonna hear your voice. And I can't believe that I got that phone call yesterday. That's just awful.
Oh yeah, I was ready to start a revolution and start a new party. Not really.
Well, it may come down to that.
Well, isn't Trump? Isn't Trump pretty much? Wasn't that the situation?
Actually, yeah, I think he was going to start a new party.
Yeah, well, he's doing a hostile takeover of the Republican Party to make the Republican Party the party of the working people. It's not the Democrats anymore, for sure.
Well, I don't know. And maybe you have to if y'all can mute.
You're echoing real bad.
Yeah. Is that better? Just nod your head yes, because I don't know who's. Um, so here's the thing, guys. Sanctuary City for the Unborn did not win. And I want to make it clear. It wasn't because of the Democrat Party. It's not even logical that it was the Democrat Party because guess what? Everyone here says we're very conservative and we're very red. So how could it be the Democrat Party? Now, they had organized very well, but it wasn't them. It wasn't them. It was those that looked like us that defeated us. They were doing things, sabotaging that ordinance for Big Daddy, Pimp Daddy, Money Man, and other factions that are on that look like Republican, and they're very far from it. That's who defeated Sanctuary City for the Unborn. Um, and that should disturb every single person in this city because we are not, that R does not mean red. It means rhino. And that's all there is to it. How can you say that you're Republican if your actions are lining up exactly with what the talking points of AVAL, ACLU, Women's March, Jane's due process? You shall know them by their fruit. And if their fruit looks like the same, this is all bananas, then you're a banana. You're lined up with them. You are not a Republican. We were called, Serena, I'm about to get you started. We were called, I didn't know this until yesterday. I knew that Tom Sherlin said that this ordinance reminded him of Nazi Germany. So I've been cutting him a little slack. People won't believe that. They think I'm spearheading him, but um, I'm spearheading that they're not for the planks. But I did not know about the conversation that happened between Serena, her husband, and Sherlin until yesterday. If you want to discuss that, feel free to do that. I just learned about it yesterday. So go ahead.
Well, let me make it clear on my end of it. It wasn't a personal conversation. He spoke this at a city council meeting, um, just that December before Sanctuary City was finally coming together as a group. And that's when he first said it. And then we met at the Civic Center to watch the movie about the validity of the unborn in the womb. We had doctors that, spoke of the validity, and we saw amazing miracles medically for the unborn. And he said it again there because it's government overreach, and government overreach, what we're wanting, what we were proposing, was what they did in Nazi Germany. And it was
Mm-hmm.
completely opposite of what we were not running on, but what we were fighting for. If you want to, talk about Nazi Germany, it was the extermination of a race. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we've got an extermination of a generation upon generation. I mean, we're looking at what, 3 generations that are being wiped out. Where's the Nazism at? You
Mm-hmm.
You know,
know,
it's interesting that you say that because there's a lot of things that's been passed in the past 2 years that I would say was government overreach. And it's
yeah.
interesting. It's interesting that you're bringing that up. So I just
Well, the
wanted.
same meeting that he said that about Nazism was the same meeting. It was the last meeting before they voted next city council meeting for the drones, the $350,000 for the drones and the license readers. And
And
there
Mm-hmm.
were people
how many
that
people did they ask about that?
none, and there were people there at that meeting talking about that. Weren't even there for Sanctuary City for the unborn, but were saying, how's that not government overreach?
It
But that
is.
was sort of like, oh, well, no, not really. But what y'all are trying to do is we're trying to save lives. That's government overreach. But you're trying to make sure you have your thumb on everybody in what they're doing. It,
Well,
They
we're
it
finding
actually
out.
call it. They actually call it surveillance.
yeah.
Well, we're finding out here as of recent all the Planned Parenthood money that has been utilized through government funding to kill babies. How come it's not overreach when it's to kill babies? How come it's not overreach when it's to kill them, but it is when it's to save them? I don't understand that logic. And early on in this fight, the people that were championing Tom Sherlin, I heard it at their coffee house because I was in there having coffee. They did since then remove me from there, sending me a messenger saying that I'm not welcome in there and that I will be cited for trespass. And what they used was that I was making their staff uncomfortable, which is a lie because I always had witnesses with me. But this particular night that I was there, they were showing our documentary. I didn't even know they were going to be showing it. Well, when Tom Sherlin's face showed up on there, that whole entire coffee house erupted. We love you, Tom. We love you, Tom. And I thought, geez, Louise. But you know what? If you drive by there right now, there's not one sign that I know of for Tom or anyone else. So it's all fraudulent. And when it comes to sticking to their true convictions. It's all about a power play. And early on in this fight, guys, um, Israel was attacked October 7th, and immediately the next month, these very same people that are championing abortion were out at a protest of pro-Palestine Palestine protest. I'm not kidding. I have the documentation. They were holding up signs about saving the lives of the babies in Palestine. The very same people that were saying we need to have the right to kill the lives of babies here. And that's what bothers me the most about our mayor and the ones on the council, Les Simpson, Tom Sherlin, that are running under this fear mentality. Well, we don't want the city to burn. If we don't go the way they want us to go, they take advantage of us as believers because they know we won't riot and hit the streets and burn the buildings like Minnesota 2.0, right? So they take advantage of that. And
Yes.
so, yeah, when someone comes out like Misty and is speaking some courageous things, now you kind of can see why Kelly Giles says, "Nuh-uh, no way, Jose. We can't hear you. We don't want to listen to you." So
Well, you
whoever
know
wants to.
you've arrived, Misty, when you do get the Women's March and those other women's group coming and out against you, and they will, just because of your stand on abortion and the right to life. But 90% of those people don't even live in your county. And on ABC News this week on Facebook, they posted the marches that happened, last week when it snowed and everything. And there were several locals that they honed in on that I won't speak their names. But when I got to looking at the comments, I made the comment, yeah, and most of these people weren't even from Amarillo. And I got lambasted. I'm telling you, lambasted with comments about, well, how did I know I wasn't there? Well, I got to looking at all the comments, and every comment that was negative on this ABC Facebook post didn't live in Amarillo. None of them.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's what they've been doing to me. They're like fake profiles and they don't even live here. And
Well, Kathy, what I think might be happening
It's so far.
with Kelly Gile and our county chair is maybe they're a little nervous that if Misty gets in there, that she will want to bring that up as an agenda, and with her and Don Tips and a third that could come through there, that they could actually make us a sanctuary city for the unborn, because it can't go up for vote again on a ballot for 3 years, but they could talk about it and bring it to vote on the council. And if you remember, I tried to get Mark Lee Dixon to come speak to the CEC way back when so we could hear what he had to say. And Kelly shut that down hard and aggressive. And it was, I don't know who that is honking, but nevertheless, might be Kelly. Kelly, what are you up to over there? Anyways, so they shot it down very aggressively, and I was still included in a Star Chamber text messaging group that I didn't know was a Star Chamber thing, but it turned out to be. You only know something later on down the road. They kicked me off once I made a comment. But the very thing that they said a particular morning was the same exact thing that Tom Sherlin said from the dais, verbatim. So that's when I knew these guys are meeting in Star Chambers. They're discussing things that's really flirting with the rolling quorum. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Well, I think you know, President Trump has taught us so many things, and he's opened the door for authentic candidacies like Misty's. But what they are afraid of is that she is going to follow the money. When she is mayor, she will have access to everything that is the city council. She'll be able to look at the checkbook. She'll be able to look in the file folder. She'll be able to see the locked file folders. I say that they'll probably destroy everything now. They have a few days between the election and her when she would take office. but they're afraid that she will expose everything that we've just said. That something is wrong with influence, something is wrong with the money, something is wrong with how this is being done, and they don't want to be exposed. And this is a trickle down effect. All the big money is here, and it's trickling down, and it's trickling down, and it hits Kelly Giles, and we don't see any of it in the party, to our knowledge. We don't see that checkbook either. We are the CEC, and it just goes on and on, and it just the money just rains down to keep everybody quiet. And I
Yep.
am proud to know a person like Missy who stands up and said, no more. And if you're ready for that message to be heard, no more. You don't get to steal my money anymore. You don't get to erode my values in my city anymore. Then it's time to take a good look at Missy and stand up with her.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So what's the next step, Alex, in getting Misty out there and getting her voice heard?
Well, she's just going to have to put some mileage on them calves and get out to as many places as she possibly can. Uh, Maybe make some videos and just get those out there as well. I think that there's a lot of good candidates that don't have a lot of money behind them in this election, that deserve to be heard. And I think once the people can hear them, they'll be very pleased. Misty's very passionate about what she does. Um, uh, I don't understand the logic. I mean, Trump is very, very passionate about what he does, and people around here champion that. But as soon as a local person does it, they look down their nose at that for some odd reason. It doesn't make a lick of sense. What? Why is that, Misty? What is your take on that?
It's because, well, I always tell people if you, okay, so the way America is created, everything works from the bottom up. So if we have fraud in our top government, then there's definitely something going on in our bottom government. And I think that's why, for the longest time, that they only wanted to put their people in, the people that they selected, because they have something that they're trying to hide, whether that be a secret or I don't know exactly what it is. That's the only thing I can think of why they wouldn't want an outsider in their stuff.
I can also contribute a little bit to this, Serena. It is one vote at a time. It's you telling 10 people and asking them to tell 10 people. If anything about Misty's message is resonating with you, you can find her on Facebook. It's the one that says Misty Vigil Collier. That is her her campaign page as opposed to her private page. Either way, just contact her and volunteer. Misty made it clear, and as a professional political person, I was cringing, but she's right because she's right. Um, she doesn't want contributions. She doesn't want big money. It is her goal that she files her campaign finance report and she doesn't have to disclose anybody because her campaign is for the people and by the people and about the people. And if you want to be one of those people, get in touch with her. And I'm sure she, along with the people that she is surrounding herself with, will find a way for you to help. And we're not even asking for your money.
Yes.
You're never going to get that text message that says, thank you for volunteering. Can you give me $5,000? I mean, that's never going to happen. If you want to pitch in $25 to buy 5 more yard signs, we'll take it. But anything bigger than $100 a fee is not interesting.
Right. I'm the candidate for the people, and I want their backing. I don't want a bunch of big money donors that I can't explain where the money came from or what it was for or what I used it. I'm not trying to do all that. I really truly want to represent the people.
And all the people, the forgotten people. And she'll listen to the elites because they are citizens, but they get one opinion just like I get one opinion, just like you get one opinion, Serena, and everybody up in the Heights gets one opinion each. They don't get 317,000 opinions. as you're seeing on some of these campaign finance reports. She will listen to everybody, but it's she wants the transparency. She wants to connect with all citizens, and if you take the time to get to know her and what she stands for, you will be impressed.
We have 3 schools shutting down under this council. That's not good. Park Hills, Pleasant Valley, and Sunrise. What does that got to do with city council, guys, Alex? That's AISD. Well, it has to do with lack of development, a lack of vision for those communities to attract families to go into those communities. So you could bring families into those communities. An elementary school is the heartbeat, the pulse of a community. And if you don't have an elementary school in your community, bye bye, sayonara to that community. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, is there something behind this? Ignoring of these areas because maybe somebody wants to become an industrial area. Look at the North Heights. I love the North Heights. I love the people in the North Heights. We had a community connect for the North Heights here on the east side through Conservatives of Texas, and it drew some attention, which is good. But yesterday is their kryptonite. Yesterday is their kryptonite. Show me what you've done or what you're doing, not what you're telling me. We're sick of that. And Misty, you're a doer. I've seen you out there. We heard on the radio today that there's a lot of complainers out there. Well, I'm sorry. Those aren't complainers, those are taxpayers. And we need some representation. I heard directly from people in these communities that are having schools closed down say that they have reached out to Tom Sherlin and Cole Stanley 3 to 4 times and have not heard back.
Yes, they're very upset
Schools
about
are
it. I've
shut
talked
down.
to several of them.
So, Misty,
And it
go
is
for
a
it.
separate issue. I will tell you something. So when I ran last time, I got involved with the school right away. I went up to Loomis, which he's no longer the superintendent. Um, I know y'all don't know any of this stuff because I haven't come out and talked about it, but um, I gave him a proposal for some ideas that would help with the education system, and he wouldn't even meet with me. And then I found out that they had issued a DEI curriculum for the kindergarten through 5th grade. So I requested their surety bonds and Loomis's surety bonds. Within a month later, they told me that they would go ahead and change the curriculum. And then they requested that the citizens come and give them information, but nobody showed up. So I sent them an email again with all the suggestions. And I got completely ignored by the council, even though they had asked us to give them suggestions. So that's one thing I would like to talk about because I did try to help with the school stuff.
Misty, if you could, you've spoken a little bit about some things that you've been involved with. For the folks just tuning in, y'all say hello to Tony from Dallas. Looks like, or he was raised in East Texas and first time here. So thank you for coming on. Um, Give a little synopsis of all the things that you've been a part of, and how many things you've been moving on since you got involved, if you don't mind.
Well, Alex, do we have enough time?
Why don't we try to crunch it in the next 7 minutes?
Okay, so one of the first things I got involved with was Smart City Agenda. I created a halt all smart city technology, and what I asked was I'm not for sure if I asked or another citizen asked Rich Gagnon to come talk to the citizens, but we actually had a meeting with them, and they came in and we discussed all these things with him, and um, I started that petition. And then after that, we did get the council to go ahead and say, because the citizens were worried about the water meters, the majority of them. So we did get this council to say that they would um, give it, or they would make it an option, and then they wouldn't have to pay for it. But when it came down to it, when it really got implemented, they many citizens came to me and said that they forced them to get the water meter and they were going to charge them for it, which, I'd have to look into all of that, but the council said that they wouldn't. So that's the information I have on that. And then from that, I went to the school board, which I just told y'all that story, so I won't go back over that. And then I started working with the paper ballot issue. We had brought Dr. Douglas Franken here, which he's supported by Mike Lindell. And Mike Lindell's friends with Donald Trump. And we were trying to get authenticated paper ballots implemented here in Amarillo, Texas. All 4 county commissioners voted against that, and so did the judge. We did try to flip those seats. We were unsuccessful. And but we did put up a good fight, and then Donald Trump ended up picking up that issue later on. And then I already told y'all about the 4 resolutions that I got passed through the
Now,
county.
real quick. Now, real quick. I was at the table when Dr. Douglas Frank endorsed you.
Yes.
I was there, so he heard you speak on some things, and he actually endorsed you.
Yeah, that was
When you,
awesome. I,
yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a better endorsement. In fact, I was so stunned by it that someone wanted to endorse me that I was like staring at him like in awe, and he was like, do you want my endorsement?" And I was like, "Yes." So
Let me, for people that might not know who he is, I'm just going to read just a little bit of who he is. Um, if if I can find something here on PolitiFact. Oh, I'm sorry, Misty. Let me see what it says here. It says um, Douglas Frank is the former chair of the Math and Science Department at the Schilling School for Gifted Children in Cincinnati. His YouTube channel features analysis of the 2020 election in battleground states and interviews with Mike Lindell, the My Pillow gentleman. And so that's a pretty big deal. I mean, this guy travels the whole country doing all these analysis on the 2020, and everybody was gung ho for that. The 3,000 mules. They were saying, "Hey, this election was stolen," and that energy. That's what surprises me. Here you're getting endorsed by the same gentleman that gets so much support from the Trump folks, and Kelly Giles says, "We don't want to talk with you. Sorry, but go ahead."
yeah,
I digress.
yeah. I was so disheartened whenever he told me that. I was like, "What poll?" But anyways,
Yeah.
go going back to what we were talking about after the, which they never changed back to paper ballots. We're still fighting that. But Tulsi Gabbard came out, I think it was like 3 days ago, and said that, she came out and said that the machines were actually stealing our votes. I think it was an ABC article or something. Yeah, I think it's gone back to the House now. So,
So what are some things, really quick, that you would like to accomplish in, your first, say, 15 months? Have you thought about that? I mean, what is it that you would like to accomplish if you were to be mayor?
the biggest goal I want to accomplish, I apologize, is what she had stated earlier, is that the voice of the people is heard again, because right now they're not being heard. We are taking our ideas and our thoughts and we're presenting them before the council, and they're not defending us to the corporation. They say they are, but their efforts are half done. And I truly feel like the people feel like their voices are not being heard. And I want to be a mayor that they can be heard and they can feel like they're being heard and their issues are being addressed. That's the biggest thing. I'd like to return our city charter back to the original constitution to eliminate red tape so that we can have a lot of growth in our economy. I want to stop the UN agenda, platform that's been implemented and integrated into everything. And I know that I may not be able to accomplish everything, but man, I'm going to sure try to do that. If I could, I would.
Well, something that's interesting with the response by our current mayor, when you talk about things like that, he he's really good at what he does and how he says it and how he responds. But the thing is this. It looks like there's definitely an apparatus being installed, a rail system, if you will. When's the train coming? And so they can say all day long that there is no train. Misty's crazy. These other whack jobs, Cassie, whoever is going up to the council meetings. Um, there's no train. Yeah, we get it, Cole. We don't see a train, but we see the railway being laid down. What is going to be on that railway? Why
can
are
I
you guys?
can
Why are
I
you guys putting
address
all this infrastructure for a train to come? Go ahead.
can I address exactly what you're saying? So
Yeah,
they can say it doesn't look like that, but their speech, even their words are exactly identical to the platform. Like I have shown them multiple times. Everything you're saying is this platform. So where did you get this platform from? You got it from these people. And they can't even deny it. They don't even try to change it to make it look different.
give us an example if you could, because
So
that's
at
all
the
people need to hear is show us the. And I believe you, but give us something people can look into.
last debate, I heard one of the new gentleman that's running for city council, he made the statement that MUDs is a new thing that's out of the box. But if you look up MUDs, it's actually attached to the UN agenda and it's not out of the box. They created it many years ago. So he received bad information probably. I mean that's what I would assume because I feel like he didn't really know enough about it to even know that it was attached to the UN agenda. But it is definitely part of the UN agenda.
Hmm.
So if you go and Google MUDs in the UN agenda, it'll tell you exactly what it is. It'll tell you what platform it aligns with. And it's very interesting. I read Cole's response to the Amarillo Pioneer and then I on on the MUDs issue, and then I took it and I put the agendas that it matches on the UN agendas, and his words match identical to the UN agendas words. It looks like he read it off of a brochure.
I
Mickey,
would
wasn't
think.
something about the grant system is copied and pasted from the UN agenda or grant applications or something before they made them secret, of course.
Well, so one thing people don't know about the grants is that in order to get these grants, they have to follow these certain stipulations, and all those stipulations fall in line with the UN agenda. That's why Trump has gotten rid of some of the grants because they're all in line with the UN agenda. And I wish that he would get rid of all of them when it comes to a lot of these city planning development things and stuff because they're all part of the UN agenda. And I'm hoping that, Doge comes in and sees it and gets rid of it because if they do, they won't be able to have the funding to support their projects that they've implemented, and they'll have to actually find a new box and get a better idea and actually come up with funding for something that might benefit the citizens. And hopefully at that point in time, they'll reach out to the citizens and get feedback and advice and community engagement to find something that we like as Amarillians, and not, you know, not what somebody wants in Austin, but what we want.
Well,
So
the irony is that you being told that you are not going to be given a voice, and this individual, Kelly Giles, is directly connected to these PACs that are directly connected to, you know, really getting behind Cole Stanley. It's so funny because that's exactly what the big agenda is with these people at the forefront, at the top, is keeping you silenced. Okay, so you say all these things that you are not and will never be, but why do your actions of who you're connected with here locally kind of mirror that? Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
The Bible says you shall know them by their fruit. You can say all day long and twice on Tuesday that you're an NBA basketball player, but if I never see you on the court, then you can just say it. And you being shut down by these guys that are all in the same proxy groups by the one big funder, their actions of keeping you silent pretty much spills the beans.
I know you love quoting scripture, Alex. I like more colorful sayings like "lie down with dogs, wake up with fleas."
That is pretty good. I that must be a is that a Cathyism, or did you hear it from somewhere?
It's a very old-fashioned um, metaphor
Okay,
from many years ago.
that's a good one. Well, guys, we're at our hour mark. I really appreciate everything you're doing, Misty. Keep it up. Keep being a voice. And if they shut you down the way they've been doing, honestly, they can't ever shut down we the people and who we are. And when people get out there and vote, really think about looking at the formation of these clouds. If we get so far out of whack, Misty, it's not going to be too much longer before none of us in this city has a voice. I'll let you close, and then I'll close that right after that with about 30 seconds. Okay, go ahead.
Thank y'all all for listening to me, and thank you for giving me a platform to talk on. And I'm going to just encourage all of you to fight, fight, fight. Let's make Amarillo great again.
Good stuff. Kathy, I cannot get off here without giving you just a little bit of time. Go for it.
Y'all, voting is not an option. Voting is our duty. We like to think of it as a privilege, and it certainly has that kind of flavor, but we must vote. You must stand up for your ideas and your values and your candidate. Get it done. Early voting, interestingly enough, it is posted everywhere, starts February 22nd, but apparently there's some confusion, so stay tuned for more on that. But um, vote, take 10 people to vote. If your neighbor doesn't have a car, take them to vote. It's going to take all of us to make any change on any subject, but this one is particularly important. If you want to get something different, you've got to do something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. How many times are we going to believe these elite words that have no basis in reality before we do something?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Misty, real quick, where can people find your platform and what your values are?
So I have a Facebook, Misty Vigil Collier, and also I'm gonna have a meet and greet tomorrow. I believe 6 a.m. No, 6 p.m. I apologize. 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. and it's gonna be at 4551 Western Street. And I would love to see all of you there. And if you have questions, please come out. I'm not afraid to ask or to answer any question that you ask. So
And that's right behind Taylor's Furniture, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, good deal.
At 5 o'clock.
Elisa Pardo, she's another precinct chair here in Randall County. Do you have anything you might want to add, Elisa?
Yes, I'm going to try this microphone again. Um, I'm I really believe that if we did have paper ballots, we would see very very different personnel from coast to coast, and I think Misty would have a solid chance of winning because people are tired. They want an outsider. They're tired of the deep corruption. They're starting to wake up more and more. That's it.
Thank you,
Thank
Elisa.
you.
Mm.
Hey, thank you all for coming on today. Um, what has occurred to Misty is disgusting. It's awful. It's horrific, and it's unacceptable. As a precinct chair for the 111, I know Kathy agrees. She's precinct. Which one are you again, Kathy?
421.
And Elisa, which precinct are you?
Here, 418.
Okay. And we do have several others in the precinct that are of equal um, concern in these types of matters. You guys, we the people, let's start getting out to your Randall County Republican Party headquarters, to our meetings. I would say call down there, but there are already gatekeepers installed. Not all of them, but the majority of them. So please, we are going to start posting when our meetings are, and that's another thing. It's election cycle uh, right now, and we don't have another meeting till what, June, Kathy?
I think
You
it's
know?
the May, but after the election. In the presidential election year for Donald Trump, the most important election of our lifetime, we had 3 meetings in a presidential election year.
Yeah. We need to be building the party in off election years, right? Is that the way you put it, Kathy? And
Yes,
then,
educated in odd numbered years.
yeah. So being Republican, the term Republican, it's not a noun, it's an action. Let's get out there, let's do it, let's be it. It's who we are, and it's the fabric of our nation. When I heard what would have had occurred to Misty after hearing the same individual, Kelly Giles, at the forum that was had in previous weeks, that the Republican Party gives the voice of the little guy, and that's what we're here for. And you can go back and watch it for yourself. And he gives this sandbox statement, and yet today we're discussing why he shut down a candidate for mayor for Amarillo, Texas, that upholds the Republican Party planks that the other candidates did not. What's going on there, guys? It doesn't jive. And it's got to stop. Misty, thank you for coming on. Everyone get out tomorrow, 5 p.m., and have a seat with her. Talk with her. She'll engage with anybody. Kathy, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Elisa, thank you so much for being on here. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.